Teachers, what is your greatest I hope that kid doesn't tell their parents moment? I was handing out books, hardcover copies of To Kill a Mockingbird, and was handing them out in a rather lackadaisical manner. Basically I was throwing them, gently, onto students' desks, as I was young, exuberant, and foolish. My aim has forever been rather poor, and unfortunately on this occasion, proved to be once again. One book collided with a girl's face, corner of the book in the eye, quite hard, quite fast. She yelped, understandably startled. My heart sank, and I apologized profusely to her for my silliness. She seemed fine, and said she is okay, but I have never had such a nerve-wracking day and evening as that, expecting a stern email, or, worse, phone call from the head teacher to chat about the day's events. Happily nothing happened, and I don't think the student ever mentioned it again, but I still feel bad. One of my 3rd grade girls was having a rough time, said she didn't have anyone to play with, etc. I asked who she wanted to play with. She said, other female student. I replied very empathetically, oh, I understand. I love other female student too. She stares me straight in the eyes and says, oh, so you're gay? I froze, totally thrown off, and told her that wasn't an appropriate thing to say. Still very calmly, she replied, well, I think being gay is appropriate. So then I had to backtrack and say no, it is, just not in that context, a teacher with a student. She then asked me what was wrong with that. So I gave up, and told her to find someone to play with, and avoided her the rest of the day. I have a 2nd grade student whose parents are Christian Scientists, and don't believe in medicine. I'm not allowed to give her any aspirin when she gets a cut, as 7-year-old often do. If she gets a hold of the first aid kit before I do, she layers on the stuff just to be rebellious. But when she gets hurt, and I patch her up, I put it on her too. I won't tell if she won't. I dropped a casual F-bomb by pure accident in my final placement. The grade 8 was talking about their previous student teacher, and how they were embarrassingly bad, and why the students really didn't like/respect student teachers, but was basically telling me I was the best one they'd had that year. I got caught up in the conversation, and said something along the lines of, now I get why you guys really don't pay much attention when asked to do work. Yeah, I've had so many problems with effing bad teachers. I understand why you guys are so fed up. According to my mentor teacher, their previous student teacher didn't make it through the 30 days. TBH though, where those students lived, they've seen more shit in their 14 years than I've seen in my 30 some odd. I hope each and every one of them found a passion and ran with it. They should all be in uni/college by now age-wise. I'm the student, but I could see the regret in my maths teacher's eyes as he accidentally let slip that once he pretended to shit himself, so he could go home early and avoid teaching a year 7 class. Probably the time I started crying, just tears, in front of 4th 3rd graders as a student teacher, because I dropped my lunch, a Tupperware of curry and rice, and it exploded on the floor the moment I stepped out of the staff room. It was that time of the month. It was really embarrassing. I taught classes only for a short time. It was a tough area, and I was not much older than the 15 to 16-year-old boys. Some of them misbehaved in ways which I was not prepared for. I asked some of the older teachers to sit in during their lessons, and I was shocked, but then got used to it, at the language they used to control the boys. So once during one of my lessons a boy said something that was really bad. NSFW stuff and more. So I decided to show him that I could use that language too. I ended up not just swearing but blaspheming. He shut up. I'm not a teacher, but I was in class and the teacher screamed at a girl in my class because she legit dropped a pen. She said, you are a complete waste of space, you'll never get anywhere in life. Last year a kid was walking across my classroom and he tripped over a chair and went flying. I laughed at him, checking him at the same time. Luckily he started laughing too, so no biggie. He was about 12 at the time too, hardly a little kid. I'm an American teaching in Scotland. I once told a group of S1s, 7th graders, to stop spasming out/being spastic, as they were quite unsettled after a lesson/a bit hyper. One kind pupil said, Mr. You check it 87. I don't think you can say that. I then asked my colleagues in the staff room about it, and that didn't go so well. I didn't realize that in the UK that word/phrase is reserved for people with disabilities such as cerebral palsy who are having an episode/extremely rude. As a teacher, I've never wanted to crawl up into a hole as much as I did then, except for when I tripped up on a desk in front of a class and tore my ACL teaching stateside. Was playing a video for the class on YouTube. I pulled it up and then got distracted with the conversation. I didn't notice that for several minutes some very inappropriate video suggestions were off to the side. Not related to my own past videos or anything before someone asks. They were tangentially related to the topic of the video. Edit: it was internet safety, about not using the internet for bad things. So all the suggestions were basically about how to do all the bad things. Teach university so it doesn't happen much at all, but I had this foreign exchange student complaining about how he was failing. He missed several weeks, hadn't turned in a couple papers, it was no contest. He went to my department head to complain about me after I politely told him there was no way to bring his grade up to passing at that point. Luckily my department head is a good guy and backed me up, but he was saying something about telling his parents and taking it up even further. But that was years ago, and far as I know nothing happened. Wednesday a student came into my office begging for a C, and when I told him his final grade would indeed be a C, he started crying. Big Wayne the Rock Johnson looking dude. I told him, if he didn't stop crying I'd smack him across the face. I'm just not comfortable with emotions and apparently I'm not great at handling my own either. Not a teacher, but junior year of high school I was in pre-app algebra 2nd, and failing pretty bad. My permanent sub called me to his desk. Our actual teacher left 3/4 through the year due to pregnancy, and asked how I was going to pick my grade up. I told him that there was no way I could pick it up, there really wasn't, and that I was perfectly okay with receiving the credits I needed during summer school. He just stares at me for a good minute before saying, I can't believe you, you're really okay with that? I replied yes, and then he pulls out this wild card. You seem so resigned to your fate. I can't believe it. You're like a Jew in Nazi Germany on your way to the showers. And I shit you not, the classroom went dead fucking silent, and I just yeeted my ass back to my desk waiting for the bell to ring. He pulled me aside after class to clarify that he was, in fact, joking and that I shouldn't take his joke/comparison to heart. Definitely an oh shit moment for him lol. I teach at a very conservative religious school. One of the students in the senior math class I teach asked if I went to any drinking parties when I was in high school. I said I didn't remember any. They asked so that's a no? Like they didn't believe me. I reiterated that I couldn't remember them. It clicked for a few of them. My mom was subbing for freshman literature and asked to read the book. Normally the regular teacher would shake them and be kinda rude to them, but my mom is one of those teachers that cares more about them learning. She joked about it and went just had the kids promise to actually read it by the end of semester. Then she gets to this last chick. My mom asks her to promise like with the other kids and all of a sudden this girl just bursts out sobbing. No one knew why, so we all just kinda sat there. She eventually calmed down, but my mom thought she did something wrong. It took 20 minutes to convince her that the girl is just a drama queen. I had a student teacher about 11 years ago that I was supervising, and one day for no apparent reason she dropped the S-bomb before seemingly just losing the plot trying to make up for it. She just dug herself a deeper hole over something she could easily have brushed off in a class full of 16-year-olds. When I say that she lost the plot, she basically began talking about how saying backquote shit wasn't too bad, while saying it multiple times and going red. I had to spend a fair bit of time just getting the class back on track and giving the poor girl some advice if that kind of thing happened again. I waited anxiously for angry phone calls and messages, but thankfully nothing happened. I was glad as she was a really good student teacher. Other than that, I suspect the students probably got that too, as well as a bit of a laugh. I was bullied by everyone in my school that wasn't my only best friend in 7th grade. Everyone. Kids younger than me, older than me, kids in my grade. Everyone. Made fun of on the bus, in class, had my seat kicked on the bus a lot, all of that. That plus my abusive father in 7th grade made me incredibly irritable. I absolutely despised my life, and that year was my worst. I had anger issues and major depression. But either way, one day, yet another little girl started kicking at my seat. Had to have been in 3rd grade. She was calling me names too. I ignored her. She kept doing it. Eventually I got up. While the bus was still moving, I grabbed her with one arm and held my other fist up and said, if you kick my seat again, I'll fucking destroy you. The bus monitor got involved. She tried to lie and defend herself, but it was obviously not true. The bus monitor still didn't take my side though, obviously. Surprisingly, I didn't get any sort of punishment or penalty for that. My middle school was complete shit.